Tonight on The Best Times, we explore a form of meditation called mindfulness and show you how local companies are using it to reduce stress in the workplace. And we'll give you advice on downsizing your home in retirement. Funding for The Best Times is provided by the Plow Foundation, striving to do the greatest good by helping the greatest number of people since 1964. Additional funding is provided by the members of WKNO. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chris Hardaway. Welcome to this edition of The Best Times, a series that looks at life after 50. In his poem, A Song for Occupations, Walt Whitman wrote, "Happiness, not in another place, but this place, not for another hour, but this hour." In many ways, those lines reflect the essence of mindfulness, a form of meditation that seeks to focus entirely on this moment, not yesterday or tomorrow, but now. By doing so, one can lift the burdens of a stressful life. Tonight, we examine mindfulness at work.
Bring yourself into a dignified but not uncomfortable position. Allow your eyes to come gently closed if you feel comfortable doing that. You can imagine that your awareness is sort of like a flashlight, and you can shine the focus of your awareness on your breath.
Dr. Robert Baldwin is directing a mindfulness session at the Experiential Health Center. He's instructed his students to focus their minds on their breathing, and when their minds begin to wander, to shine their focus, like that flashlight, back onto their breathing. For the next 10 minutes, the students sit quietly, absorbed in the moment. This is mindfulness in action.
One way to think about what mindfulness is to talk about a little bit what it isn't. In our society, we live with a lot of stress. I think that our society engenders a lot of compulsive thinking. All of our training programs and everything throughout school is geared in developing good thinkers, and so we end up thinking a lot, and our minds become like hyperactive dogs on a very long leash. And so you're trying to walk this hyperactive dog down the street, and it runs into the neighbor's yard, and then you're worried about what it's doing over there, and then it might run out into the street, and you're worried about it being run over. And so it's always causing lots of anxiety based on where it drifts off to. Meditation is a way of shortening that leash so that we have our mind more focused on what's happening in the present moment. And when you focus your awareness on the present moment, you begin to realize that right now, more often than not, there isn't anything wrong.
So mindfulness can be described as moment-to-moment awareness, but with one important caveat.
Usually when we're attending to what's happening moment to moment, we make judgments about it. I like this, I don't like that. But mindfulness is about allowing experiences to happen without making immediate judgments.
In a world where multitasking is the norm, and none of us can live without our smartphones, the distractions of life can prevent us from living in the moment. Professor Musi says this has become our default state of existence, a state that he calls mindlessness.
Mindlessness is just the fact that our minds ordinarily are just moving from place to place is what the Buddha called monkey mind. We get interested in one thing and then suddenly we're interested in something else and our attention goes there. And so we are moving back and forth between ideas. Sometimes we're off contemplating what we're going to be having for dinner, or I could be sitting here right now and thinking about my vacation at Orlando this summer. So I'm not really being fully present in the moment. That's mindlessness.
It's important to understand that mindfulness and meditation are not necessarily the same thing. Mindfulness is a state of mind, and meditation is a means of cultivating that state of awareness with the goal of living life in a state of mindfulness.
Mindfulness is a quality that we want to have, and meditation is a way of cultivating that quality. So just as one might go to the gym and exercise for a couple of hours every week to gain strength, to gain flexibility, to improve one's health, meditation is like going to the gym, except it's a discipline for the mind. And instead of gaining flexibility and strength and health and so forth, what it promotes is this quality of being attentive to our experience at all times. So consequently, we live our lives in this state of mindfulness. So we could be reading a book mindfully, we can be cooking mindfully, I can be having a conversation with you mindfully, as long as I'm fully attentive and other things are not drifting through my mind at that time.
Reducing stress is one of the main benefits of practicing mindfulness. In a 2008 study of Marines about to be deployed to Iraq, 12 minutes of meditation a day resulted in improvements in sleep, cognitive and emotional testing, and athletic performance. Major corporations like Aetna, Adobe, Google, and Target have added mindfulness to their employee wellness programs. This is the noontime community mindfulness class at Church Health in Crosstown Concourse. Most of the participants in this class come here for a brief respite from the stress of the day.
The decrease in stress, the relaxation, that's a side effect of being mindful. The harder I try to be unstressed, the further it retreats away from me. So when I'm practicing mindfulness, really what I'm doing is I become aware of distractions, I accept them without judgment, and then I just let them be and I return to whatever it is I'm meditating on.
Science is still studying the impact of mindfulness, and as you might expect, it's difficult to quantify feelings. But studies have reached some conclusions.
Meditation helps with concentration, focus, awareness. Meditation helps with stress. It decreases the inflammatory response. It helps with chronic pain. But you have to understand, it doesn't change the biological cause of chronic pain. It helps people change their relationship to the pain, how they perceive the pain, how they experience it. So they have greater quality of life.
This is the mindfulness-based stress reduction class at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Methodist is one of the few Memphis companies that have incorporated mindfulness into their employee benefits program.
We decided to put in a mindfulness program because we work in a really stressful environment here dealing with the ups and downs with patient care. And so we wanted to come around and provide a supportive environment for our employees and our associates here. And so we were looking at opportunities and ways to do that. And that's where we researched and found mindfulness, and specifically the mindfulness-based stress reduction program.
This 8-week class is open to Methodist employees, their families, and even patients. Hospitals are stressful environments. By relieving stress, Methodist believes they can deliver better care.
And so I think Methodist's commitment is because their associates are able to deliver better care, also for themselves, as well as the patient.
Methodist's mindfulness-based stress reduction program has only been in operation since 2015, but it's already seeing results.
So we were hearing from people who had taken the course, "Ooh, I already feel less overwhelmed, I'm able to deal with stressful situations, I'm more in control, my family members are noticing a change in the way I'm able to deal with things." And then we started hearing a little bit about participants who were saying, "I'm off my blood pressure medication." And you know, that's a huge impact and change.
So mindfulness is paying dividends to local companies like Church Health and Methodist Healthcare. But what about beyond the workplace? Can mindfulness benefit us as we age? Michael Burnham thinks so.
So what mindfulness can do is help you understand who you are and what's going on in your life, and the transition to retirement, although we all think it's going to be great and easy, isn't so easy at times. And the ability to be able to look at your life as in the future differently than what's occurred in the past, and to be working with what's going on for you in your mind, your body, your reactions, can be a very powerful way for people in the age group you're talking to embrace a different way of existence.
Allow your awareness to return to the room and maybe bring some movement into your hands and feet. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to come gently open.
Aging is all about change. Children grow up and leave the nest, work slows down, and you begin to plan for retirement. And one of the big questions that people face is what to do with their home. Should they stay or should they go? Downsizing might make good financial sense, but it may be difficult to leave a house that's paid for and a home that's full of memories. After a lifetime of moving up in the world, you might need some advice when you're thinking about moving down. I've read statistics that show that more than 40% of Americans aged 50 to 64 say they plan on moving within the next 5 years, which I'm sure is good news to both of you. Yeah. But my question is, obviously a certain number of these people are going to be thinking about downsizing in their move. What are the benefits of it? Why should someone even consider downsizing at that age group?
Melissa?
Well, I mean, a couple of things just as far as saving money. So if you're downsizing, you probably could even get something newer. So you're not looking, if you've been in the house for a super long time, you start running into things, you know, roof, expensive things. So that you get something smaller, it's not as expensive, and it's just cheaper in cost as well. And then right now with the market the way that it is, I mean, it's a great time to sell. You probably have more money in your home than you've had in a long, long time. So it's great to turn around and reinvest it in whatever way that you see fit too.
All right. So right now, seller's market,
yes,
right now, which of course could change.
That's right.
Could change the next
all the time.
week.
Yeah.
Are there other things that should be considered? Other factors? I mean, you mentioned money, of course, financial, but are there other concerns? Things like health or family, or talk about some of those.
If you're aging, if you've got grandchildren, let's say, you may want to get a bigger home. You know, you're talking downsizing, but they may want more space, like in the kitchen, open areas, and living room, because at the holidays, here comes all the kids.
Bring the troops in.
Yeah, bring the troops in.
Okay.
So they may want a little more space, but with the value of the homes going up now, and they're building the equity in the homes, they may want to take that equity, part of that equity, and put it into something else with maybe less yard.
Right.
So they're downsizing, as Melissa said, in the expenses, but yet getting more home on the inside for the families to come back for the holidays.
I want to talk more about upsizing in a minute, because there's got an interesting statistic on that. But in this age group, many, I'm sure in this age group, own their home outright. Now, does owning your home outright play a role in your decision making to downsize? And if you don't,
if you're still paying on your home, what role does that play? Maybe you should address that one.
I think my goal is for all of the clients to get their homes paid off or a lot of equity built into their home. I mean, that's just financially the way to go. Work on getting your home paid off. So when you are of retirement age, you either have a large equity built up or it's paid off. I mean, the last thing you want to do is retire and still have a house note.
Okay. What are some of the mistakes that people make when they're thinking about planning about downsizing?
Well, a lot of people may be retiring 65 and they're still very healthy, and they're not thinking 20 years down the road when they're 85 and maybe they have a flight of steps to go up, or or flight of steps on the outside as well as the inside. They're not thinking 20 years down the road because they're 65 and still feeling good.
They're not thinking that this might be our last home. They're not thinking in those terms.
And I grew up, I don't know about y'all, but I grew up, my parents said, this is the house that we will be in forever. And you really don't hear that very much anymore. You really, people only stay in their homes an national average to 5 to 7 years. So you may be 65 and thinking of downsizing, but then it may not even be your last time that you're thinking of actually staying there till the end.
You're bringing up health concerns. We have addressed aging in place issues on the show many times, and every survey shows that people want to age in their homes for as long as they can. So health concerns is a serious issue. What kind of features in a house should we be concerned about?
The newer homes that we're seeing now are so open, and I think that's part of it too. Open kitchen, open living area, it's just huge and open, but it's for, like what Ludi said, when a family comes together. But that makes you able to maneuver around as well if you're in a wheelchair for whatever reason or walking.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, you want to look at the hallways, the widths of the hallways.
Openings.
And I noticed something at the Home Builders Association, because they're working on building homes now that are where the hallways are wider. If you do purchase a home and you're in the older market and it does have an upstairs, they're taking the piece of house where there's a closet and then the stairway, and they're showing you where you can take that out and you can put an elevator in. So that's something that you can think about.
A lot of people in this age group who are thinking about doing this haven't been in the buying and selling housing market for 20, 30, maybe more years. So I'm curious to know from both sides, selling and finance, what's changed in 30-odd years?
What's changed in 2 years?
I've been selling for 31 years. I thought you had one piece of paper for a contract, front and back. That was it. I mean, and you literally hand wrote it. Now you have DocuSign, electronic signatures kind of thing. And then just everything online. You can search online for everything.
I would imagine online is a big change.
Yes, everything's there first.
Do you think that's made your job easier or harder?
I don't know.
I mean, I can find a house before I contact you.
Yes,
Yes.
There's so many different web portals now that you can find it that some of the information is not accurate. So it's like a lot of times there's different sites, not that it is what it is out there, but they'll go on these different sites and go, oh my word, I want to see this house. Well, I'm like, okay, I have to direct them to stay on these sites that have the IDX, that the correct feed to them to see what's really active.
Sounds like a lot has changed in house shopping. What about paying for that house, the financing?
Everything has changed as far as that goes, because everything has to be documented. Everything has to be.
Are you telling me there's more paperwork now than there was?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is a ton of paperwork. However, it is faster and easier to go through the paperwork because of the electronic signature. So that you have to read, and you have to make sure that you are looking at the documents that you're signing. And it's a good news, it's a bad news, because if you're electronically signing something, you want to just go through and hit next, 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 when you really need to be reading. Hit the button to sign, read, hit the button to sign. So it's a good news, bad news.
Yeah. Now, many people in this age range will have substantial equity in their home. They go to sell it, and they may be buying something that's
cost less money. What happens tax-wise with capital gains? What advice do you give to someone in that situation?
Neither. First, we're going to put the disclaimer in. We're not tax people.
Right.
Yeah. But if you take the money that you made off of your home and you put it directly into another home, that's more or less a safe haven. Okay, whatever money you do put into your new home is a safe haven for that portion of money. Now, a lot of retirees want to take a portion of the money and put it into investments or put it back into something else that they're building that's making more money for them. At that point, I always advise them to please contact their tax person.
Because there will be tax ramifications.
Right, and I don't want them coming back to me. But
you mentioned upsizing earlier. I want to talk about that a second, because I read a statistic that just stood out to me. It was a Merrill Lynch survey, and it said that 30% of retirees in this survey said they bought bigger houses. They upsized. Now, I was just struck by this, not only the size of the house, but also the size of their figure, 30%. Why do people choose to upsize? You have a story of clients of yours.
I do. I have a couple that's moving here from Texas, actually. And so they've been looking at homes. They're in about 4,000 square feet now in Texas, but they're looking at like 7,000 to 8,000 square feet. So, and the funny thing is, they'll even just say, well, we won't even go upstairs, you know. So the layout downstairs, and they're all smaller lots, to be honest with you. So it's like it is downsizing in a way, because it's kind of like the maintenance per se, and then they've got a homeowner association that's taking care of some of the things which they like, and it's gated, which they like, but they're just talking to each other. They're like, we'll never go upstairs, you know, kind of thing. So it's just funny.
So upsizing, apparently, with 30% of people saying that they are buying a bigger house, apparently it's not out of order.
And it all depends on what market they're coming from. They may be living in a big city like New York, moving to the country, and they're going, wow, I can get this much house for this amount of money. Why not?
Yeah.
You know,
and in America,
like we said, and like we said, they're having the grandchildren over.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking about buying, of course, but are there cases where renting makes sense?
I don't know of any. Melissa, you tell me. That's just not my world.
I don't have a whole lot of folks that want to do that. You know, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I mean, we wouldn't, just depending on, maybe if you're moving to a new location, you're trying to check out to see where you want to go.
True.
But I thought, I mean, real estate is still like the best investment, honestly, you know, for that. So I think they're trying to put their money into something else. So I don't see a lot of people in this age bracket trying to do something to rent.
And in this market, today, we are estimating that the value of homes are going to increase approximately 4% per year for the next 7 years, because I personally think it's going to remain a seller's market for the next 7 years, because there's not enough new construction going on to catch up. Because it's supply and demand, and there's not enough homes out there. So if you are living in your home, if you're thinking of retiring but maybe you're not quite there yet, just remember your house is going to probably appreciate at least 3 to 4% per year. So you're making more money the longer you stay there. However, whatever you buy is also going up as well.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's close out by giving me the best advice. Let's sum up everything we've said.
So if you're thinking about it, I would say just call and get with your realtor that you use and get advice on steps. I have all kinds of people that help get your house ready, whether it's paint or different things like that. It's just a process. And right now, honestly, even the new construction house, we are low on like subcontractors. So it's kind of hard to get them lined up. So just the sooner you can kind of be pre-planning, you know, and then we send them to our lender too to get that, so they know exactly what they're looking at. So the more time you have to plan that, the better. Just make such not a rash decision. And if you've been in your house for a long time, that's emotional too. It's hard. So you kind of have to declutter. You have to look at it. We live one way and sell another way. So it's just different things to help get you ready.
I would say, as coming from the financial side of it, I like to look at, and of course I always see what assets you have, of course what you own on your home, or if it's outright, what you're thinking of purchasing and where you're thinking of purchasing, and I kind of help you figure out what you want to put into the next home. Do you want to buy it outright, or do you want a small mortgage? Do you want to take some of the equity from this house and put it over into some assets that are making money, that can make you more money, okay? So it's, you know, with her help and with our help, plus I always say, if you have a financial advisor, sit down with your financial advisor also. Get their opinion. So, I mean, I think more than one opinion is always good, because this is towards the end of your life. This is the money that you've worked so hard for to save. You know, don't just talk to a few people, not just one.
If the mantra in real estate is location, 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 it seems like the mantra here in downsizing is planning, planning, planning.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Well, I want to thank both of you for being on the Best Times and helping us downsize.
Sure.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want more information about life after 50? Go online to watch more shows and find more resources. And send us your feedback and story ideas to besttimes@wkno.org. That's all for this edition of The Best Times. Please join us next week for more stories about life after 50. Until then, I'm Chris Hardaway. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Funding for The Best Times is provided by the Plow Foundation, striving to do the greatest good by helping the greatest number of people since 1964. Additional funding is provided by the members of WKNO. Thank you.